In the coming segments, we explore a fragile breakthrough in a long-simmering Southeast Asian conflict, where weeks of intense border fighting between Thailand and Cambodia have suddenly paused, raising cautious questions about whether this ceasefire will hold or unravel like its predecessor. Thailand and Cambodia share an 817-kilometer land border, much of it traced back to colonial-era treaties between France and Siam in 1904 and 1907. These agreements followed natural watershed lines in the Dangrek Mountains, but left ambiguities in demarcation, particularly around ancient Khmer temples like Preah Vihear, Ta Mueang Thom, and Ta Krabi. In 1962, the International Court of Justice awarded the Preah Vihear temple itself to Cambodia, though surrounding areas remained contested, fueling periodic tensions. The dispute resurfaced intensely in 2013 when the ICJ reaffirmed Cambodian sovereignty over the temple's promontory and ordered both sides to withdraw from a provisional demilitarized zone, a decision Thailand accepted while clarifying that other overlapping claims remained open for negotiation. Since then, bilateral committees have continued technical demarcation surveys, but nationalist politics have repeatedly complicated implementation. A 2024 ICEA's Yusof Ishak Institute survey found that 41% of Thai respondents and 36% of Cambodian respondents viewed territorial issues as tied to national dignity rather than administrative boundary work alone, reflecting how public perception remains a latent accelerant. Meanwhile, the borderlands themselves host mixed communities, porous trade routes, and smuggling corridors that have historically carried everything from timber to counterfeit goods. Legal commerce, however, is far more significant. Bilateral trade crossed $10 billion for the first time in 2023, with Thailand exporting refined fuel, construction materials, and consumer goods, while Cambodia supplied agricultural products, garment exports routed through Thai ports, and cross-border labor. While most of the border has been demarcated through bilateral efforts, several undemarcated zones continue to spark incidents, as seen in earlier clashes from 2008 to 2011 that claimed dozens of lives, displaced villages, and temporarily shut border markets. The latest escalation began in July 2025, when skirmishes erupted into 5 days of heavy combat across multiple sectors. Fighter jets conducted sorties, artillery shells rained down, and rocket barrages exchanged fire, resulting in at least 48 deaths and the displacement of over 300,000 people. Both nations traded accusations of provocation, with Thailand pointing to alleged landmine placements and Cambodia citing incursions into its positions. The use of air power marked a dramatic shift from the infantry-dominant clashes of 2008-2011, signaling an expansion in the intensity and geography of engagement. Thailand's air wing deployed F-16s and Gripen JAS-39 jets primarily for patrol and precision missions, while Cambodia mobilized L-39 training aircraft for reconnaissance support, according to regional defense analysts. External mediation proved crucial. Malaysian Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim, as ASEAN chair, facilitated talks, while US President Donald Trump applied pressure through direct calls to leaders and threats of trade tariffs. This intervention led to an initial truce in late July, later formalized in October as the Kuala Lumpur Peace Accord, which included commitments to withdraw heavy weapons and begin coordinated demining. Yet that accord frayed quickly. Ceasefire skepticism was rooted in precedent. Of the 5 major Thailand-Cambodia ceasefires since 2008, 2 collapsed within 60 days due to verification disputes. By early December 2025, mutual blame over alleged violations reignited hostilities. Fighting spread from forested areas near the Laos Tri-Point, known as the Emerald Triangle, a high-risk smuggling zone bordering Laos, Thailand, and Cambodia, to coastal provinces along the Gulf of Thailand. The geography mattered. This triangle has long been used by transnational criminal networks for unmonitored movement and sits adjacent to key military staging routes. Thai forces launched airstrikes, including F-16 missions targeting positions in provinces like Odar Minchi, Preah Vihear, and Siem Reap, all of which lie near or on strategic internal supply axes. Cambodian troops responded with BM-21 rocket systems, mobile ground-based air defenses, and rapid infantry repositioning. Casualties mounted rapidly. Thailand reported losses of around 26 soldiers and multiple civilian fatalities from shelling, while Cambodia documented civilian deaths and injuries without releasing full military figures. Independent conflict trackers, including ACLED, later estimated that Cambodia suffered 35 to 45 military casualties in the December phase alone, though Phnom Penh did not publicly confirm totals. The information asymmetry itself became a diplomatic friction point, a common pattern in Southeast Asian conflict communication, where governments often delay sensitive battlefield numbers until post-crisis consolidation. Overall, the renewed phase claimed 100-plus lives and displaced 500,000-plus people, many of whom crossed into evacuation zones near Surin, Sisaket, and Sakeo, Thailand, and Banteay Menchi and Battambang, Cambodia. The humanitarian cost extended beyond casualties. Agricultural losses surged as well. The border provinces affected produce nearly 30% of Cambodia's cassava exports and supply Thailand with rice and seasonal fruit. Fighting disrupted logistics, pushing crop spoilage rates upward by an estimated 18% in December 2025, according to Mekong agricultural consortiums. Wildlife rescue operations, such as Thailand's recovery of lions and bears from a captured site, mirrored earlier precedents like its 2011 operation near Takrabi, when Thai troops evacuated tigers from a facility suspected of trafficking links. While not militarily decisive, these incidents shaped media narratives and softened public hostility. Diplomatic momentum shifted after the special ASEAN foreign ministers meeting on December 22, 2025, where regional governments urged restraint and welcomed renewed bilateral talks through the General Border Committee, GBC, a mechanism active since 1995. This paved the way for 3 days of negotiations at a formal border checkpoint, drawing in defense and diplomatic leadership. On December 27th, Thai Defense Minister Nathaphon and Cambodian counterpart Tay Seha signed a new agreement, both sides committed to freezing troop positions without reinforcements and prohibiting escalation through arms buildup. This clause echoed a key lesson from past conflict de-escalation. The 2011 UN-brokered observer mission failed largely because of disagreements over troop increases near Preah Vihear. The new 2025 framework attempted to correct that failure by embedding verification directly under ASEAN observer presence rather than external UN monitoring alone. The ceasefire, enacted at 12:00 p.m. local time, covers all weapons, explicitly bars attacks on civilians or infrastructure, and obligates both sides to maintain open military hotlines, communication pathways that historically reduced the risk of accidental escalation even at peak tension. Additional provisions dealt with humanitarian and diplomatic sensitivities. 18 Cambodian soldiers captured in July 2025 were to be released, conditional on 72 hours of compliance, and demarcation work would continue through existing sovereignty-respecting channels. The agreement avoided legally prejudging disputed zones, an intentional diplomatic choice. Border disputes in Southeast Asia rarely end through outright territorial surrender. Instead, they stabilize through technical committees, phased trust building, and economic reopening. Thailand also ensured that displaced communities could return under monitored safety corridors. Historically, displaced border populations have been the first to experience the economic costs of escalation. The border provinces host over 400 joint Thai-Cambodian markets, many of which were closed temporarily during the 2025 hostilities. Thai Air Chief Marshal Prapah Sornjaidi later reinforced the indirect message that ordinary citizens were never the enemy, signaling an effort to calm public rhetoric, encourage normalcy, and prevent nationalism from overpowering diplomacy. The new ceasefire closed 20 consecutive days of the fiercest combat since 2011, delivering relief but not resolution. The region now watches compliance more closely than announcements. Ceasefires here survive when three conditions hold. Both militaries believe escalation carries greater cost than advantage. Local incidents are jointly investigated rather than unilaterally blamed, and economic corridors remain protected from nationalist sabotage. This agreement has opened a narrow but critical window for stabilization, village returns, and demining cooperation. The precedent shows optimism must remain cautious. Southeast Asian border ceasefires, unlike peace treaties, are operational pauses backed by logistics, not ideological surrender. Still, if implemented fully, this pause could evolve into the longest sustained de-escalation phase in more than a decade, providing ASEAN with one of its most important diplomatic test cases yet.